a gallon that we could actually produce. But again, because we're getting long-term contracts for the fuel, and that's what our investors want, they want to know that we've got somebody to buy it all along the line. So yes, now also as we seek out, we will look for people to purchase the installation or the roadbed. Also, there's other products that we'll be producing. We can produce distilled water. We'll be pulling the gold out. We'll be pulling the silver out, the softer metals, things of that particular nature. Again, that's not a lot of money, maybe only $1 million a year in gold, maybe $1 million a year in silver, but those things will be pulled out, and that's extra funds that will be coming in.
All this in 3 years?
Yes, sir. It's the plants now that are being built in T-Valley, and they are actually being slowed down because of the unions over there. They have 40 unions just working in one plant. So they have a tremendous union problem over there. A guy can do a well, and then another guy has to come off and clean the well. We're fortunate that we don't have that issues here, so we feel like very positive that we'll have the plant. We figured 6 to 8 months on permitting, and then 24 to 30 months in construction, and that'll actually be in the contract that we'll receive from the EPC contractor, that he'll be able to do that. We have a very good labor force here. People are ready to work and willing to work. I was out at the local school here, the welding school. They have about 20 gentlemen there and about another 30 out of St. Augustine. We use lots of welders. These guys are trained well. Ronnie, the supervisor out there, is an excellent trainer, and we're looking to bring those people on. And they will be career people, because not only when we finish the plant, and I'm sure Walt had done some welding, these wells have to be x-rayed on a regular basis. We cannot have a pin leak, so as they're getting x-rayed, they will have to be repaired and strengthened too. So, but yes, sir, there'll be.
One more question.
Sure.
You know, you obviously would like the footprint of our landfill, but what about the adjacent land, contiguous land? Why not purchase any of those lands next to our landfill?
Well, I think that's actually what we don't really want any of your landfill. I'm sorry if that was ever misunderstood. We're not in the landfill business, and we know for a fact that landfills will have to be cleaned up one day. That may be in your grandchildren's time, but they will have to be mined. That's why Lou Cicero has a permitting on mining, not a permit, a patent on mining landfills. We know they will have to be mined one day.
Okay, with that being said, why do you need our permission, or why are you soliciting us for this?
Good point, Chip. You know, our investors basically are putting up well over $300 million.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be welcomed in this community. And I'll tell you all a quick story. I don't know how many people were around here in the 70s, but in the late 1970, I was involved very much in Clay County. And Georgia Pacific came to Clay County and said, we would like to build a plant in Clay County. Mr. J.P. Hall, which is a close friend of mine, he's passed away, was willing to make them a deal on the land because they were going to bring jobs to Clay County. Well, there was a few people in the county that got upset, and I was remembering right to this day who they are, not to get into it, but they said, oh no, this is going to create hazardous, and it's going to kill the cows and kill the grass. And about a month later, the Koch brothers said, well, I think we'll go to Putnam County. God bless Putnam County. Y'all made a smart decision at that time. There's no cows been killed, and nothing has happened. And Georgia Pacific employs lots of good people. But if y'all go back and look at it and talk to the Koch brothers, they'll tell you that story, because I was right there. So you have an opportunity now to do something great for Putnam County. We don't want your landfill. We want adjacent land. I think we have given the map over to Mr. Leary, and we've looked at it, and I think he's given it to his land planners, and we're sort of looking at the actual area that we want. Now you
have our acceptance. I still don't understand what you want from us. We want jobs. We want clean technology. I'm for you.
Well, good.
I really am, but why are you soliciting us?
Okay, good point, and I'm sorry I didn't cover that, so maybe now's the time to cover it. two things. First of all, this is the lowest economical county in the state of Florida. We know that. We want to buy some land from the county. We can go out, and we have identified land that is not the county's land, and we can buy it very good. But why not buy county land close to the landfill that could be beneficial for us down the line? We're not sure, but we're being prepared. So we would like to buy, I think we've designated 500 acres that we would like to buy next to your landfill that you have designated, from my understanding, that you have no particular use for in your planning, what they call it, long-term planning program. Now, the other thing that we thought was very good, and thanks to Mr. Larry Harvey, he took us out to a building in your industrial center that was built, 52,000 square feet. And, pardon me, let me grab some water. And we looked at it and said, well, great, this is Shell, 52,000 square feet, has good parking, good light. It's a couple blocks from the airport. And one thing that we have told y'all numerous times is that our employees will have daycare facilities available to them, as well as tutoring for any students that are in school and then in college. We'll have that available to them. We can build a YMCA and a portion of that building. Now, the good thing about it is that the YMCA is a nonprofit organization, so we can write that off. We can build a nice, big 25,000 square feet YMCA for our employees, and also have facilities there for our students, for students that our employees are working with. And so I'm very proud that that's one of the things that I had to take back to our financial people, and they love the idea because they are somewhat very active in the YMCA also. So they love the idea, so that is a part of it. And of course, besides doing a YMCA, because it is a large building, there's easily 2 stories in the other portion of it that we'll use as national headquarters. And we've considered giving so many rooms to nonprofit organizations such as Habitat or whatever, and if they need a room, we can provide that room for.
Oh, good, Mr. McIntyre, but
Sure.
why don't you go? Let's do it.
Well, what we would need for you to go ahead and do a RPC, I think, or
Request for proposals.
RFP, so that we can purchase the land.
Financial people are ready to make a bid on that.
Pardon me?
Your financial people are ready to make a bid on the 500 acres you're seeking
Yes, sir. Correct.
right now, and the spec building. You'll cut us a check for that spec building.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Mm.
From my understanding, talking to Mr. Rick Leary, that has to be advertised, and we're ready to make the bid. Yes, sir.
Well, it's a pre-recession white elephant, or what, a pink elephant, whatever you want to call it. We'd love to
Well,
sell it.
actually, we think it's a good building.
It is.
It does
It
have
is.
some, it is a dirt floor. It does, we've budgeted right now $5.5 to $6 million to bring that building up to our use. So, I mean, that's immediately, when we purchase the building, and you're talking about bringing in labor, things like that, $5.5 million to build that building. I'm talking probably at least 100 to 150 construction people, plus engineers, designers, and everything else
What
to
else
get
can
that.
we expect from the taxpayers? What do you need from our taxpayers or this board to help you along?
Nothing. We don't want a thing.
Kim, so you just need a piece of property.
Yes, sir. Correct.
So to piggyback off of what Commissioner Lible is saying, if you need the acreage and you have the money, what is the holdup?
We would like to,
Okay,
Come on, guys.
please, I'm speaking to one person.
Yeah.
All of us should be listening. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. And again, and maybe I didn't answer this. Our investors are putting up a tremendous amount of money.
Okay, you've repeated yourself enough times.
Okay.
The question is, if you need the acreage, where is the acreage? Why haven't you signed the contract? Because you say you don't need the county's acreage, you need acreage adjacent to the county. Help me understand.
Okay. Ms. Flagg, one thing we want to do is be good neighbors. We would like to purchase the land from the county, because of my understanding, y'all need some finances. $5 million coming into your hopper would be, and again, that's just a number we think that's going to be out there, and that's what we budgeted. So $5 million coming into you this year could be very beneficial to y'all.
Okay, we've had offers of money from other companies and things of that nature. We have needs in our county, but this commission is not a reactionary commission. If we were, we would have done some things before tonight, this afternoon. We are studying, we are learning about technology and things of that nature, but at the same time, we don't want to have a sack that we think is filled with one thing and it ends up being something else. And so all of the things that you're putting out about how many jobs going to be created, how many millions of dollars is going to do this and that and the other, the rails coming in and all of that, the business plan to me would indicate that your investors are ready to move. If there's a business plan that is presented that says precisely where you're going and what you're doing, every question that has been asked from the leaders up here and even staff, you have a ready answer, and I'm glad that you're as sharp as you are with all of the numbers, you know, on your head and everybody, you know, again, there's not a single commissioner up here that is not for progressive movement in this county. We want jobs, but we're not willing to sacrifice our souls on a blank check to say that we're going to get some jobs guaranteed. So to me, it's time now for the rubber to meet the road. Sure. It's time for us to understand precisely what's what. I can't speak for the other four commissioners, but I can speak for this one. I'm an optimistic type of person. I am very receptive, open-minded about any presentation that comes before us. But let me tell you something, if the homework has not been done and you do not have a sound plan that, to me, crosses the threshold of success, I don't have a problem. I appreciate all the experts that's in the room. I appreciate all the technology that is in the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, and all those other places. But I want somebody to help Carl Flagg understand precisely what's going to assure us that what you are proposing is going to work in Putnam County, Florida. That's what I need. I can't speak for the others. That's what I need. I'm not there yet. I just have to be real about it. Okay. I think our council has a question, and then we'll come back to the commissioner.
Yeah, I've got a couple. Did I hear you right earlier when you said the people that invest money to build this project will have their investment guaranteed by an insurance company?
That's my understanding, yes, sir.
Okay, and have you been in projects using this technology where that kind of arrangement has been done? Where their investments were guaranteed?
Mr. Bobby Barnes with our insurance.
Let the finance person come to the mic, please, that has the answer to the question.
I guess the Bobby Barnes with Willis Insurance had to leave. I know he had another meeting. So from my understanding, yes, sir, they are insuring the project.
Okay, can you get that, just a minute, counsel. Can you get that person, when you contact that person, just to send a letter so that you don't have to guess about it?
But a moment ago, Mr. Lible asked you a question about what do you need from the county and what kind of county buy-in do you need? And you started to say something, you needed some comfort level for your investors. Then you digressed into a story about Clay County and the Koch brothers in the 1970s, who, by the way, didn't own GP in the 1970s. But at any rate, you started to say something about you needed some buy-in or some comfort level from the county to comfort your investors, which I don't understand why they need that if their investment is guaranteed by an insurance company.
Well, they don't want to go to the insurance company and have to collect that money. The thing that we're looking for from the commissioners is a welcome, and I used the example there in Clay County. We want to be welcomed by the commissioners. That's a very key part of this. We would like to see, they would like to see, and I would too, that the commissioner says, okay, we're understanding your philosophy, your business plan. I think we've designed it pretty well. We're ready to move forward on the annex building as well as the property. And but we do want, they want to know, as well as myself and all of our people, want to be welcomed, Mr. Flagg. If there was one vote that basically it went down to 4-1, we would probably back out because we want 100% support from the commissioners and the people of Putnam County to say, this is something we want.
I'm not so sure I understand, Mr. McIntyre, what your definition of support is. I'm not so sure I understand that. But what I need everyone to know is that this is a pro-job commission. We want jobs. And at the same time, when it's all said and done, we're not asked for, you keep saying you're not asking for anything, and there are companies that will come in who do go through, whether you're talking about the Putnam County Development Authority, whether you're talking about the chamber there, whether you're talking about the Department of Economic Opportunity, state of Florida, and the size investment that is proposed to be brought to our county that we embrace, because, you know, if any county needed it, there's enough stats and studies and analysis and evaluations out there that would indicate that Putnam County needs this infusion as it relates to the economics. So you don't have deal blockers sitting up here before you, sir.
No,
And so I don't understand when you're saying you need to be welcomed. If you're bringing the jobs in, you have a sound business plan, you have your investors on point as far as what they're going to do there. You follow through with the regulatory agencies that need to issue specific permits for the magnitude of this project.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure I understand the missing piece of the puzzle. And maybe I'm the slowest one up here, but I'm just not getting why we're being painted as the individuals that are holding the project up. We're not the holdup.
Okay. Then what I would like to have is a vote from the commissioners saying that you would like to have APAGE come to town. And then I can take
I've never voted on anybody coming to town. If they're qualified to come, the door is open. Come on in the house. And that's just Carl talking. District 1, District 2, District 4, District 5, in that order, please.
What do you want us to say? I did have a comment I wanted to make a while
Please make
back.
it.
I'll go ahead and.
I'm calling you for what you want to say.
All right. I think part of the heartburn that I have is that St. Lucie County, when the company came to them and put the project on the table, they said, "City, you don't have to invest anything. We will build it." And they ended up spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and nothing ever was put together and nothing worked. And in Ottawa, Canada, the same thing with the one that closed 3 months ago. It went on, I think for about 10 years. And they put in hundreds of thousands of dollars and nothing ever worked. I'm worried about that. We don't have hundreds of thousands to put into anything.
No. May I respond?
Please do.
Please do.
Ms. Harris, we don't want any of your money. We're going to bring excess of $5 million to buy your land, buy a building. Again, the companies that you mentioned have nothing to do with APAGE, has nothing to do with our investors, and they're not even comparing apples to, or even a grape to a grapefruit. Pasco is basically a high-tech incineration plant. We don't have anything to do. I wouldn't recommend doing them. The ones that tried to come to Gainesville, I would tell you to vote against it because they, again, wanted county money. We're not looking for any county money.
Mr. Lytle?
Mr. McIntyre, frankly, the welcome mat comes flying out from me if you pursue what would be the normal entrance into a project this big. Why not a Department of Economic Opportunity for the governor's office and Enterprise Florida, where I know you're interested in job credits, you're interested in getting that airspace, that tower up, and you have to start there. And you've been reluctant to do that, and that makes me nervous.
Okay.
It really does, because there are literally millions of dollars on the table and hundreds of jobs at stake through your firm if you don't use these people. It's almost like you're hiding something. I have to say that.
Oh, okay.
You know, so that would give me a lot of comfort if you were to do that and the state comes to Putnam County and says, you guys need to get married. You know, I'd be happy with that.
We did meet with economic development with the state of Florida, about a half a dozen of them. Myself and our financial people met with them, basically proposed that this is what we're doing. They just basically told us to go ahead. They were, I mean, There was nothing there. We met with your local economic development guy. I don't mind telling you, I wasn't impressed. He fell asleep a couple times while I was talking to him, and I just basically said, you know, we're ready to move forward. I gave him some information that I thought was pertinent in us moving forward, and he basically called me a liar. So I don't want to ever have anything to do with him, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
well, my request is the same. Go right around our local person, go to the state. I need to,
But
I need that comfort
but
level.
if he's saying DEO said go ahead, how much more go ahead do you need?
Sir, we need to buy the land. All of these people, economic development, DEO, DEP, and everybody says one thing, where are you gonna put it? We've got to buy the land. Carl, you can't take care of your business if you don't have vehicles and land.
Okay.
It's the same thing. We're
Not
ready to
relevant.
buy the land.
That's not relevant. Mr. Pelletier.
Not to be redundant, but everything, I can't speak for the other three, but everything Commissioner Flagg said in his remarks a minute ago, I agree with 100%. 100%. The small heartburn that I'm having right now, how long did I start talking to you about this? Year and a half, 2 years?
I think we've been
Right after I
talking
came into
2.5
office.
years, yeah.
And that number of acreage has been 300, 350, 4, now you say 5. Do you have a number? I mean, do you know how much space your place is gonna take, how much parking lot, how much
Oh, yeah,
driveway?
yeah.
I mean,
There
get a
was-
number.
Yeah, there was a couple things, and everything is adjustable. I mean, basically, the plant footprint is 100 acres, and I've said that for I don't know how many times. We want buffer zones. We would like to have a buffer zone. It can be a couple hundred acres, or basically from looking at our plans and land that you have available that was not being used and ready to be sold was 500 acres. We took that to Mr. Leary, presented it to him. He took it to, I guess, the people inside of his staff came back and said, yeah, this was land that was not available, that the county had no use from. That's my understanding from him. So I took that back to our board and our financial people, and they said, good, looks like a good piece of land. Mr. Leary said for him to sell the land to us, it has to go out for an RFP. Go out for an RFP. If somebody outbids it, then we're out of the ballgame. But we're ready to bid on it, yes, sir. And the same thing with the building. It does have to be 2 RFPs, from my understanding.
And your people have looked at the land as far as elevations and
Yes, sir.
wetlands
Correct.
and all those aspects? And
Yes,
it
we
meets
look
that
at it.
criteria?
Yes, now there will have to be a survey and a land clearing and all that kind of stuff to meet all the requirements, but yes, to answer your question, we've looked at it, we've flown over it, looked at it on the map, looked at it on Zulu and everything else. So yes, we have a good concept of what we're looking into.
Mr. Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Castleberry, let me say thank you for asking the questions I was going to ask.
Wow.
My previous stint in the world was an insurance agent, and I kind of had the same question that Mr. Castleberry had. We do know about this. You and I met with Mr. Leary on October 9th, and we had this conversation about buying acreage at our landfill north of the northern expansions area. We did bring it back to the Board of County Commissioners, and at that time, we were going through the Solid Waste Committee and letting them work out whatever they needed to work out and bring things back to us. So we have discussed the 400 acres. Mr. Leary, I won't put words in his mouth, but the concern was we would have to get an appraisal of that property, and then we would have to bring it before the board and go out for the RFP. My concern was not to base the appraisal on a landfill, because my concern is if we base it on a landfill, then we're going to be selling airspace, and we already learned how valuable our airspace is. But for us to carve out acreage out of that 1,500 acres and use that for future technologies. And we knew what that price was, because in the contract with Republic, we pretty much said if you can't get a permit for that, this is how much you're going to sell to Putnam County, how much Putnam County will sell to you based on per acre. So we've kind of got all that. All we need to do now is to move forward and declare that land, since our Solid Waste Committee has moved on, to declare that land as future technology, which the Solid Waste Committee gave us room in their projections to us to have some availability there. And I think now's the time that this board could take on their recommendation and say, we're gonna dedicate so much land out there for future technologies, put it out for bid, and if your company is the first one to win it, so be it. And I would be happy with that. Again, I want to commend our chairman and the rest of our commissioners. We all want jobs. I mean, let me assure you, the day that you do the groundbreaking, we're all probably going to be there, you know, helping pass out the Kool-Aid and the donuts and everything else. We want this to happen. And even if it's 50 jobs at $40,000 a year, produces $2 million in payroll. If those 50 jobs produce 3 more jobs in the community, that's another $2 million. With $5 million in payroll, we can use that in Putnam County. Not only that, we can use $7 million in taxes that your company would generate, not counting what the spec building would be if when you built that and you put that back on the tax roll. Now, unfortunately, the enterprise zone at the business park is probably going to be going away.
Correct.
The legislators didn't renew that, and your investment in that would probably, unless you started tomorrow, would be null and void. So, I mean, we've got some serious things we can do to help you push that along. And again, I want jobs just like everybody does. I want technology just like everybody does. Do I want to see me throw a bag of garbage in one end and run down to the other with a cup and see what comes out? I would love to do that. But I don't mind taking a chance and being number one if it's going to be the best thing for Putnam County and our environment and our jobs. If this catapults us into the future, so be it. And I welcome you here, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Couple of questions, Mr. Gass.
One of the things that I was basically concerned with is if we take landfill property, declare that excess, put a valuation on it, and put it up for bid, we could end up with a situation where somebody like Republic could come in, bid on that landfill property, create a competitive landfill with us, and then bring in as much waste as they want because they're under no contract with us. They've already got property that is been zoned for landfill use. And if whoever is bidding on there is the high bidder, they will get that with that zoning. And that is a risk that we would have to try to mitigate big time, because you're looking at everybody losing the revenue from solid waste and having no control over what kind of waste comes into the county if that were to happen.
Thank you for the observation, Mr. Gass. Mr. Harvey.
I believe, Mr. Gass, that we could cure that with our contracts if we really focused in on future technologies. I think some of these companies would not be, if we didn't want a landfill, if we said we want something other than a landfill in the RFP, I think we could solve some of that. Agree, Mr.
A
Gass?
simple,
Well, I'm not sure you can sell land and condition the use of it. You declare it surplus, saying the county doesn't need it, and put it up to the best bidder. I don't know that we've ever tried to condition what use could be made of the land. We'd have to look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What-
Do you have any closing
pardon me,
comments, Mr. McIntyre?
Casper, wouldn't zoning, if you zoned it saying this land was available for waste in and zoned according to waste to energy projects, wouldn't that solve your issue?
We could perhaps change the zoning or a comp plan designation
Yeah.
to do that. But I'm not sure we would want to do that and detract from the value of the land we're trying to sell.
Okay, closing comments, Mr. McIntyre.
Okay, well, thank you, and I want to appreciate everybody, all your time and your participation in the last 2.5 years. Mr. Flagg, we are ready to move forward at your next meeting. If y'all decide to go out for an RFP, that will take about 30 days for, if you send an RFP out for both projects, we'll be able to respond for that. And as soon as we make those purchases for the building, we will start renovating that. And of course, we'll start with all of the other permits and things that we have to do, because now we have a designated location. We can't go out and do anything with DOP or economic development or anything else until we have a designated piece of land.
Okay, I want to make sure that there's no misunderstanding or miscommunication. This board has not made any decisions today at all.
Yes, sir, correct, I
Okay,
understand.
I just want to make sure that's, because I hear you saying something about the next meeting, that's next week, and I'm sure there will not be anything about this on the agenda. This commission, contrary to what some may think, we do our homework, we do deliberate, and when we deliberate, it's individual deliberations by talking with our experts and administrators, and then when we do public deliberations here, so we can at least get a sense of direction for what the board feels is in the best interest of our county. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, so that people are not showing up next Tuesday thinking that we're getting ready to take some action on this.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean to put words, say that. I was just using that as an
Okay.
example.
Thank you for your example. Any other closing comments, sir, for you? Do you have any further comments?
No, we're ready to move forward.
Well, thank you for coming and thank you for being here. Mr. Leary, do you have anything else that the commission need to be related?
I have another small matter I wanted to bring up, but I didn't know whether you wanted to take a break before you did that or not.
Okay, I don't think I necessarily want to take a break. Is there any other comments or questions that concern directly with APAGE or with, again, thank you for coming and for the presentation. And thank you all who have come to partake and to be listening ears along with us, so that we can all move us forward. Okay, we could take a 3-minute recess, and then we'll come back and whatever you have, Mr. Leary. I'd like to call us back in session for our administrator to, you may continue the fellowship, but we have just a little bit more in our workshop before we adjourn. So if you're staying, please be seated. If you want to continue the fellowship, you may proceed beyond those doors.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Castleberry has corrected me. What I was gonna bring up, actually, will require some action from you, so I'll defer that until Tuesday's meeting.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
God bless us all. What'd you say, brother? You wouldn't miss.
I said I wouldn't call that.